Hey guys, welcome back, or welcome if this is your first time, I guess. I'm wearing a cool shirt. I want you to see it, but you can't see it on camera. It's the Rebus, pretty gnarly. I've got like a pretty substantial and growing occult t-shirt collection. But yeah, this is a video that I felt I had to make because I was so angry. It's just insane how much this pisses me off. And obviously it's not just this one community. We know for a fact, because of other people, other journalists on YouTube exposing them, the Somalian community is ripe with billions of dollars of fraud and abuse. This is happening in a lot of close-knit communities that are separate from the rest of the greater society and that don't integrate in with the rest of society, that stay their little ethnic enclaves, that don't participate in the rest of society. They're kind of like those fish that attach to other fish. Some would say that's kind of parasitical or lazy. Yeah, it is, but these groups take advantage of the laws that exist, and the laws that exist were created because they got in positions of power and wrote those laws. So that's kind of the situation we're stuck with, right? Wrong. We've got to change this shit. We've got to burn it the fuck down. We've got to get rid of food stamps first off. Like, I'm so fucking tired. Like, those videos that were coming out on TikTok whenever something Trump was doing was going to, I guess the government shutdown was going to affect food stamps. And there was this bitch complaining about how her $4,800 a month was going to get cut off. $4,800 a month? That's over 50 grand a year that you're getting just for food? And I know by looking at you, you're incredibly obese. Like, you're not getting healthy food. You're not spending it at Whole Foods. And the truth is, most people who are on food stamps sell the food stamps. A lot of times they'll give the food stamp card just to their drug dealer, and they'll go buy drugs 50 cents on the dollar and, get their government funded drugs that way. I mean, this is what's going on with fucking food stamps. I know this for a fact. This is happening all of the time. And then you have people that have 17 kids that don't have a job, that don't participate in the rest of society, that have 17 children, and they not just create their enclave, they spread to all of these surrounding areas and create a ethno-state. It's a fucking ethno-state. If white people did, and I guess they fucking kind of did, like, to some extent, that more accurately, white people at one point in time ghettoized black people and put them in certain areas of the city and kind of quarantined them. I understand why it was done the way it was done. It was probably handled poorly, but as we can see, there is ample reason to separate races. Obviously, there seems to be some clash between various groups of people, and it's okay for these people to have their own little areas, like Israel. Fuck, there's 80 Muslim countries. You can have Israel. That's fine. Whatever. Just give them an area and let them fucking have it. But if you're going to come into my hometown and push me out, I'm going to not have a favorable opinion of you. Just like I assume that the people in Gaza and the West Bank don't have a favorable opinion of Israeli settlers. But the truth is, you have a certain group of people that is the most supremacist group on planet Earth. There is no difference between saying God's chosen people and the master race, because they're basically the same thing. One identifies blonde hair, blue eyed people during World War II. That's what, Hitler and the eugenicists of the time said that the Aryan race was blonde hair, blue eyes, master race, blah, blah, blah. God's chosen people, not blonde hair, blue eyes, typically brown eyes, black, brown hair. But Judaism is a religion, a race, and now also a state function. And there are a lot of countries where it is illegal to talk about or to question certain events during World War II, and questioning numbers. The number 6 million is brought up an awful lot, though. This Savannah Guthrie case, they asked for 6 million in Bitcoin too, and I was like, God, why is it always 6 million? There's always 6 million when it's a fucking blatant lie. Like, I have no idea why 6 million is used as much. But 6 million Epstein documents, can you believe it? 6 million Epstein documents. That's fucking kind of strange, isn't it? But whatever. Let's just completely ignore reality. And I'm not racist, but I am very good at pattern recognition. Like, too good, because I'm crazy and I connect dots all over the place. And whenever a person like me starts digging on something, you find all kinds of crazy shit out. And a lot of the truth is on the internet. That they have this tactic of giving you pounds of the truth whenever you only ask for a spoonful. That way it's just too much to eat. They drown the truth in a whole bunch of bullshit, so you never find it. It's at the bottom of a fucking pile that you never actually reach. But if you dig deep enough, someone like me, people in 4chan will find out that shit. And let's talk briefly about the Epstein files. Let's just go there briefly. I know that I just started the video, but 6 million Epstein emails, basically, or a lot of screenshots and shit. A lot of shit was released. And right now we are at the point where people finally are starting to wake up and realize that these are very evil. They practice a black magic spirituality. They grape and unalive children, toddlers, babies, in a explicit adult way. And then they consume them for sustenance. Based on some of the emails, apparently this must be addictive. Like, the consuming of human flesh must be addictive, because some of the emails are like, oh, please, you got to have it. Like, Jeff would get mad if he didn't have it. They were calling it beef jerky as a code word. And I told you all about code words back in 2017. I've been on this for, quite a while now. So jerky is code word for preserved, or basically ready to prepare human meat that has already been, cut by a chef. In fact, the chef that Jeffrey Epstein was communicating with, the restaurant that he runs, is called Cannibal. So it's pretty obvious. It's pretty, if you do any digging, they like to put it right in your face. So whenever you accept it tacitly, it's allowing them karmically to get off on it. And they get off on it in more than one way, just putting it in your face. Like James Elefante's Instagram, for instance, all in your fucking face. Thank God for people like Assange releasing the WikiLeaks dump, exposing John Podesta as the prolific evil person that he is, and his brother Tony, and poor little Madeline, who was a very, very little girl that was taken from her home in the middle of the night, and they actually invited her parents to come stay, very publicly, like, come stay in this mansion while we're looking for your daughter. And they're literally raping her in a couple rooms over. They get off on the fact that they have the parents who are mourning their lost child in the room a couple rooms down. Like, these are the kind of people that we're dealing with. And I told you this then. Fuck, I told you this then, people. How many times have I had to beat people over the head and no one believes what I say? And now, because of these fucking 6 million Epstein files that were released, we see that they're fucking raping and murdering fucking children, and it's in your fucking face. That one guy that he was talking to was like, I'm about to switch back to normal food and stop eating jerky. So it must have some kind of addictive quality. I don't understand it. Maybe it's like the adrenochrome thing or some other kind of... Maybe all these people are fucking have mad cow disease. I don't fucking know how that shit works. Maybe they have that fucking prion that you're supposed to get from eating human brain. I don't know. But these people are definitely doing it. And no one has been arrested. This is the type of person, he works for a spy agency in the Middle East. Like, this country is destroying our country. These people are destroying our people. If you're a white person from Europe, you're being targeted by this group of people and you don't even fucking know it. You don't even know it, man. You're being targeted. 100% are being poisoned. They're trying to wipe you out and replace you with other demographics from other countries, people who are primarily black and brown, trying to dilute your gene pool while they have their own little ethnic homogenous areas where it's completely them and no one else. But you can't have that. If you have that, that's bad. You can't have that. You have to have a granddaughter that's half of a race that back home and in their home country where they come from, they still haven't figured out how to dig a well. And their cousins all have 68 IQs. And now that is in my gene pool, which up until that point had been above 100, substantially above 100. This is an actual threat to the existence of civilization. What group of people created electricity, created the automobile, created space travel, and so many things? It's almost impossible to count. Computers, telephones, the radio, everything in modern civilization. Don't get me wrong, Asians the same exact way, but it's happening there too. But we're being targeted for whatever fucking reason. Even though we are a global minority, they must see us as a threat. But they don't realize that diluting our gene pool to such an extent will completely destroy our capacity to create and sustain civilization. You're bringing in people to Great Britain, for instance, that have no marketable abilities. They don't have no ability to contribute to the society that they're coming into. They just leech off of it, and they end up raping our children. How are we allowing this? How is this being allowed? But as far as the Tyler Oliveira video goes, he's exposing that these people are completely parasitical. They are taking so much money in food stamps. If this lady who had 5 or 6 kids was getting $4,800 a month, can you imagine how much a family that has 17 kids is getting? And whenever they're in a community where they also run the grocery store and can get the best quality material that is made just for them, because it has to be kosher, right? Just like it would have to be halal if this was, Dearborn, for fuck's sake. What are we talking about, people? What? America was... Oh, fuck. America's not what it once was. And it's almost okay for America to be like that because we are the melting pot country. But it's not going to be the same quality of America. You'll have tremendous crime rate. You'll have murder and grape through the roof. You'll have people who don't have a sense of unity, a sense of community. They won't practice of faith that their neighbor also practices, so they have that to join them together, to link them together, which is necessary for a community to function properly. If you don't have trust between members of a civilization, between members of a community in that civilization, then that civilization's going to collapse. It starts with neighbors, and then that builds to towns, and then to cities, and then to states, and then to the nation, and then the imperial nation, which includes all of these nations that we, through soft power, our culture impacts through things like Hollywood and the music industry. You'll have someone in the middle of Africa wearing a fucking, a Dodge Ram t-shirt, and have headphones in listening to Michael Jackson, like wearing Michael Jordan tennis shoes, from 10 years ago, which ironically would actually be very expensive here in America now for some rich person to put in plastic up on a shelf. A hashtag, what's that douche's name? The worst comedian ever. Oh man, it will come to me. Yeah, he has a show with Brian Callen. What is his stupid name? God, apparently my brain's pushed him out, so that's cool. Back to Tyler's video. Now that I've completely stumbled on my ass, doing a show with one camera on my cell phone and one take, you'll have errors such as this, and of course I'm completely unscripted. I'm just giving you thoughts, feelings, opinions, and exaggerations from my heart live on YouTube. So, getting back to Tyler's video, these people must be getting 10 grand per family of 12 per month in just food stamps, getting the best food at the lowest prices because they have it in, and because they have the ability to raise their own food if they choose to. But what I thought was interesting was the fact that they would go into a neighborhood and they would buy a house, and no one would live in this house, even though someone owns it, and they bought it as a person, not as an institution, not as an LLC or a company. They bought it as a person, like possibly a future husband or wife would live in this house, right? No, they leave it empty, but they turn it into a gathering place 3 times a day for prayer. So 3 times a day you have, between 10 and 30, I imagine, maybe more people showing up at, sun up, sun down, and once during the day. So if you have that many people showing up in a residential neighborhood, where are they going to park? Like, there's a reason for zoning. But the reason they do this, and it's 3 times a day, and it's whenever you're going to work and school, whenever you're coming home from work and school, and then probably around your lunchtime. So all the times you'd want to be either traveling to or from your house, 50 different cars are going to be coming in, and no one's, it's gonna be a complete clusterfuck. And obviously these people cannot fucking drive. The Hebrew people have no business behind a wheel. The amount of honking that was done in his video was so disrespectful and rude. It does nothing but make your community look completely intolerant, and you are. You're a bunch of racist, racial supremacists. And I don't think white people are the supreme race either. I look at we're Dungeons and Dragons, and there are different stat boosts for each race, right? White people are the most attractive, obviously. I'm not one of the attractive ones, but I think, and everyone would agree, and example of this is a black dude will date a fat white chick that no white guy would ever date, but the black guy will jump on that in a heartbeat over a black girl because he realizes that it's an upgrade. That's all there is to it. And they'll never fucking admit it, but that is the truth. And because of rampant obesity in America, they have all these fat women, which would be normal women if they weren't being poisoned, who are now having children that are going to have an 84 IQ. This is being done to us. This certain group, this group of people in Israel, this satanic, murderous, pedophile group that is manipulating everything, they are 100% poisoning you. They are waging war on specifically us. They're replacing us. They're diluting our gene pool, and they're using other races as biological weapons being pushed into our communities. In order to combat this, what we have to do is first realize that it exists and that it's real, that this is happening. For fuck's sake, it's real and it's fucking happening. It's right in front of your face, people. You're being targeted. And it's crazy for a schizophrenic person to have to say something that sounds so fucking schizo. I'm just trying to raise awareness, I guess. All the honking is so fucking disrespectful. So yes, that will jam up a neighborhood. If they ask a few different people who are kind of hard on their luck, who are having a hard time paying their current mortgage, take twice what the property's worth, there are only people who are totally going to throw, they'll dive on that check and cash it instantly because they want to get the fuck out, yes. But double what the house is worth, they can buy a lot of property that way. So you have most people who don't have a sense of community anymore because the way society is, are willing to throw away, any connection they have to that particular neighborhood and move out. So all the people who actually love their community and the people that were around them are suddenly the outliers. And now they're the minority in what was formerly their own community. And they get pushed out. They don't like you. They'd prefer that you would just die. They won't let your kids cannot interact with their kids. And typically if they do, it's in very beneficial ways. They'll pick partnerships that are strategic in certain key critical positions of power. This is like when they created the Federal Reserve in 1913. That was the end of American freedom. That was the end of American sovereignty. But what they're doing in Tyler's video is exactly what they did all the way back in the beginning of time. You have Assyria and Sumeria, right? Assyria is the Semitic country, and then Sumeria is the non-Semitic country. But their statues have blue eyes and black hair, and they're called the black-haired people, and they often reference their eyes being the color of lapis lazuli. Well, the good old Sumerians, they created a lot of cool things, and the Assyrians decided they wanted those cool things. So they created a language. And no one knows where the Sumerians got their language from, but the Sumerians stole that cuneiform, took it away from the Sumerians, wiped out their civilization, took it over. So basically they infiltrated Sumeria, spread, and then militarily, only after they had taken over key strategic places in Sumeria did Assyria finally decide to take over. And bye-bye Sumerian people, they fled up into the Caucasus and Europe, obviously, because that's where I get these guys from. We're all related. And they have a particular hatred for us because it's like Cain and Abel. And they, Assyria murdered Sumeria. Then you have, interestingly, the story in the Bible of Abraham and the destruction of Ur, which is Sumeria. So Abraham is kind of behind that by the whole temple idol situation. But then you go forward in time and you have Joseph, and then after Joseph, Moses. But you have these two different Jews who have very similar stories, because it's all bullshit, that go into Egypt and they befriend the king, and they start to read his dreams, right? They read the dreams of the king to figure out what his dreams mean. They basically are communicating with God on the behalf of the king by analyzing his dream and telling him what those dreams mean. Makes you a very powerful person. You can bullshit quite well. If you can bullshit, you can guide the king to do whatever the fuck you want him to do. So both, Daniel does this later in Babylon, but, Moses doesn't do this as much. But Joseph, that was his main position, being an aide to the king, an aide to the Pharaoh. And then Moses is the continuation of that, the inserting into a position of power and then leveraging that position of power until there's like a critical mass and then a tipping point. So, interestingly, you'll have all the people who said they were slaves, but archaeology has proven that the people who built the pyramids lived quite well. The sites that they assigned to the builders of the pyramid, archaeologically, they were not poor people. They had a nice life. They were well-paid laborers. They found, just look into it for Christ's sake. But whenever they fled Egypt, they took all that gold that they stole with them. They thought it was theirs. They owned it. They deserved it, right? And this is stuff from their temple, their religious place. They didn't give a fuck. They took all of that shit whenever they left, and all of the knowledge that they gathered in Egypt, all the civilizational knowledge, everything from inventions to history to arcane knowledge. So then they go into Babylon. Daniel does the same thing. Daniel becomes the interpreter of the king's dreams, and from subversion destroys the empire of Babylon, takes all of their arcane knowledge. Eventually that will be used by this group of people to create Freemasonry, the Babylonian knowledge. They incorporate that into the Bible, which they are writing about this time. They're starting to amass things that would result in the Torah at some point, the Pentateuch. And this group of people do exactly what they did in Sumeria and Egypt and Babylon, and they do it again, a similar thing in Britain. The Rothschilds, of course, they come into play. The brother in Paris lets the brother in London know important information during the Battle of Waterloo. He says that Napoleon actually survived and wiped out the British, and that the French won the war, and the British stock market crashed. So then the Rothschilds use a third party to go in and buy up all the assets for fractions of a penny on the dollar. And then when news finally kicks in to Britain that the British won and Napoleon lost, stocks go higher than they ever were. So those stocks you just bought for pennies on the dollar are worth twice what they were 10 days ago. Like, it's insane. So but he owns the country at that point. They can't even pay him the amount of money that he just made from this insider trading. It's insider. Martha Stewart went to fucking jail for that shit. And you have brothers sending fucking pigeons back and forth across the channel because it's the fastest way to relay information before the telephone existed. So they were clued in of information that he used to cheat the British people out of money. And now you have the Rothschilds, who own the city of London, who made it the financial capital of the fucking world, and started importing the third world, for Christ's sake. The beautiful cathedrals that were built are getting eggs thrown at them on a daily basis. That's an exaggeration. But often. How do you think the Notre Dame fire was started? They want to burn down the places that, of not just religion, but architectural marvels, wonders of the world. I wouldn't burn down a beautiful mosque or a beautiful synagogue. Those are expressions of your faith made in the flesh. Is beautiful. It is always beautiful. I mean, even a 50-foot tall statue of Shiva, I'm all about. Personally, maybe that would be bad for in some people's imagination. But the whole point of this video was to express my frustration with this particular group of people. There is an obvious rise in anti-Semitism because we're starting to recognize the pattern. Or not we, I fucking knew this shit from a long time ago. But other people are starting to get keyed in. They're like, wow, you're okay with the fact that Israeli soldiers are caught on camera raping this prisoner, shielding it from the cameras, and the person who released that footage, that whistleblower, wound up in jail. They weren't celebrated for bringing this to light, but there were protesters because of this. And the protesters were protesting because they thought that the soldiers had the right to do that. Not because it was bad. They were protesting the opposite. That's just evil, man. But you have like 80% of Palestine has been demolished. Like, that's crazy. It's been bulldozed. And they say only like tens of thousands have died. I think the official number is like 60,000 up to like 100,000. This has to be closer to 1 million. I would say 780 to 950 just to be safe, just to keep it right under. But that was a genocide. They're okay with wiping them out. They call them Amalek because they have the right to granted to them by God in the Bible to utterly destroy Amalek, including the women, the children, the cattle, their fucking dogs. Like, they're not human. Wipe them out completely, end their existence in the gene pool. God is very eugenical. He'll tell the Hebrew people to wipe out certain groups of people, certain tribes, or certain tribes will result from a single person, and that person, for whatever reason, will become an outcast or taboo, or even worse, and they'll then ostracize the entire group of people that descended from him. Quite often in the Bible, this happens all the time. So they are very, very racist, for fuck's sake. They think they're the best. They have no problem wiping out all the other races. And I just want a place for white people to be by themselves as just white people. And I would love this just to have, like, let's do this project where we give white people and only white people, handpicked by me, good white people, good IQ, people that I like. Oh, let's just do Aryans. Let's do a nation of Aryans, like 100,000 of us. Or no, fuck, that's only like a small city. Like 1 million blue-eyed people move to their own island or, portion of a continent. Give us a corner of Australia or some shit. And that will be the white nation. And then collect 10 years of data in that nation. Crime statistics, murder rates, the amount of drug addiction, the amount of depression resulting in suicide, the happiness index, their sense of community, well-being, and peace of mind, and chart all this data, and then compare that to the United States and wait for the data to roll in. I mean, you can't argue with fucking science. They try to. They'll blackball the man who wrote the bell curve because he realizes that there is some kind of key to certain racial groups have IQs that are on average lower or higher than other racial groups, obviously. God, I have to tiptoe my fucking ass around this shit. It's so hard to say. And through the act of tiptoeing, you know, forgetting what you were talking about, it makes it very hard to even have a communication about this. Like, to have a dialogue or an effective monologue where I put across my point of view. I'm self-censoring so much, it makes it fucking difficult. It's fucking annoying as shit. But yes, this group of people, they have done this historically. But the bad part about this group of people is the fact that they see other groups of people as beneath them, not human, and sometimes need to be exterminated, which is being blunt. But the Bible, the Old Testament, is pretty blunt about that kind of shit. And they still believe it to a large degree. I mean, goy is a derogatory term that they use constantly. It would be like us using the N-word every time we reference black people. Like, this is fucking horrible. I think that people have the obligation in America to, if you live in America, to be a part of America, for fuck's sake. Like, go to the supermarkets, have a job in the public sector, marry, date, have friends, someone you call, know your neighbor, like, have connections, like, but I guarantee you that all Aryan country would have far better crime statistics. And I bet this happiness index, depending on the location that you put us in, will be through the fucking roof. And people will leave their houses unlocked and bikes unlocked and will walk down the street at night without being worried. Like, have you seen these videos coming out of France, Spain, the UK? You'll have North Africans, people from North Africa, not necessarily of that ethnicity. A lot of them are sub-Saharan, but also Middle Eastern or subcontinent Indian folk, Turkish gentlemen. You'll have a variety of brown people who will wait outside of clubs at night for girls to come out in their skimpy little dresses from dancing, plastered, and they'll pretend to be taxis or Lyft, Uber, or, you know, say, hey, I'm your free Uber, shit like that, to get them in the car. Oh my God, that shit is terrifying. But also they'll just wait on the sidewalk and just, like, you know, funnel them and shit because they're drunk. And I mean, if you're going to a club dressed like that, you're looking to, you know, maybe, probably, you know, flirt at least, but maybe even copulate with somebody from that club. You know, maybe you're interested in, you know, banging one out, who knows? But you're dressed in a way that is sexually alluring, and you're now inebriated. These guys are taking advantage of this particular situation to sexually assault you. So you have other guys, European guys, white guys, that will stand out there and beat them back. It's fucking brutal sometimes. But they're trying to protect what they see as their women. Like, historically, we've done the same. If a group of Anglo-Saxons were bedding down for night in their village, the fires were going dim, the first men were out on watch, and they saw a Viking ship roll up. They'd sound the alarm, the horns would sound, the women would cluster together with all of the children, and we'd fight and protect them. These men are just doing exactly the same fucking thing, but they're doing it outside of nightclubs in the middle of the night. They're protecting their women. It's fucking sad. And this group that we've been talking about, they're Caucasian. They are white. There are obvious, you know, physiological differences, or at least, on average, their appearance can have certain, stereotypical features, right? Big noses, etc. But they are of coloration that is white, just like South Koreans and Japanese sometimes have very fair complexions, right? That I can't tell the difference. I don't see yellow by any fucking means. I never even understood that shit. Or red. It's just white and brown, really, to me. But I'm colorblind. Like, literally colorblind. My eyes are fucked up that way. So, what was I saying? Something racist, I assume. They're ethnically white people. And if you don't know this, look up the Khazarian Empire. A group of people that decided to convert, a whole country that decided to convert to Judaism, that eventually became the Ashkenazi Jews. The Sephardic Jews are typically like the brown Jews, which whenever the black Jews showed up in Israel, and they had, believe it or not, DNA that confirmed they were Hebrew, and they had their own version of the Ark of the Covenant with them, and like written law, and dude, it was very, very similar. The Ten Commandments and shit. They kept kind of true to the Torah. It was weird. It was a group of black, like a tribe, like a literal tribe. Like their tribal colors were blue and white. They had the same tassel off of. It's crazy. But whenever they showed up in Israel, guess what? The Ashkenazi Jews did. They said they were vaccinating them, and they sterilized all of them so they couldn't have children, so that in a generation they'd all be dead and gone, so there'd be no more black Jews in Israel. That's what they did to that group of people. Just showing you. The reason there are white people, the reason there are black people in America at all is because we didn't practice the Arab practice with slavery, which was the Arabs would cut off the testicles of the slaves that they purchased so they couldn't reproduce. But white people, being retarded, greedy, and not forward-thinking, decided to not do that. And now we have a generation of people that hate white people. Hate white people because of what their forefathers experienced. And a lot of that is exaggerated and embellished and used to stir racial animosity both directions. Slavery and the Holocaust are two topics that cause a lot of tension between groups of people, obviously, right? I remember thinking in the 5th grade, whenever we were thinking about or talking about slavery in history class, I was like, gosh, why do we teach this? Because it made me feel bad, but the reason I said that is because I thought to myself, if they just didn't teach us so no one knew about it, then there would be no animosity at all. Like, black people and white people would be completely cool with each other. We acknowledge there's differences. Oh, I never finished my Dungeons and Dragons reference. Fucking white people. Most attractive, +2 charisma. Jewish people have a charisma in some respects. They're very good at deals and trying to get the best deal, or to sell you something. Talk you into something, but also they're great comedians, and they're very good with the spoken word. They're eloquent. They have the highest IQ. So the Jews have +2 INT, +2 intelligence for sure. White people also have the highest strength. Who always wins the world's strongest man competition? There's always some Norse fucker like Sven von Svenvinson. So we get +2 strength. Black people have +2 dexterity, +1 strength, maybe a plus a constitution. But physically, they're by far the best athletes in most sports. It's pretty obvious. They're very athletically gifted. Every race has its pros and cons. It's things that it is on average better at than other groups of people. I mean, these are known as stereotypes, right? Like an Asian person really good at science and maths, STEM fields. This is true. This is stereotypically true. The very high intelligence, if you break down the different racial groups by intelligence, Jews on top, then East Asians like South Koreans and Japanese, and then right below that, it actually specifically says this for whatever reason, Nordic people like from Scandinavia, and white people from Minnesota. I thought that was very interesting, because people from Minnesota have a lot of Norse blood, I suppose. But if you look at World War II through the point of view of social Darwinism, then you have number 3 teaming up with number 2 and exterminating number 1. That's how it comes out if you look at it that way. It makes sense in a weird 300 million light years looking at it from a very great distance, right? It makes sense from that kind of lens. But unlike other groups of people, the people we've been talking about this entire video are in control of the financial institutions and the banks. The Federal Reserve was created by the Rothschilds. That was the end of America. That was whenever the government decided to start taking a third of your paycheck every week, and they can do whatever the fuck they want with it. So a third of every hour that you work at work is going to satanic pedophile cannibals. A third of every fucking hour you work. Almost 3 hours a day is going to fund their Epstein Islands to Little St. James, for them to fly on a private jet, drinking champagne, raping a toddler, eating caviar, while you are waiting for that paycheck, waiting. 40% of homeless people have a full-time job. Let that sink in. 40% of homeless people have a full-time job. 80% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And also 80% of Americans can't afford a $500 emergency. I am in that category. We are broken. But the media will tell you everything's fine, and the bank will make billions of dollars, and if they go under because of some shady shit that they were doing, because they get caught insider trading, they'll be bailed the fuck out, because the same people work in the government. It's a big fucking club, and you ain't in it, motherfucker. We've been conquered in our own land that our forefathers fought and died for. We work and we build, and this other group comes in, and after we're done, takes it all. And it's something that anyone who understands history and has paid attention notices and knows. And I don't care how much you censor me, you'll just delete this video, I assume. But it is the God honest truth. They come in and scoop up all the hard work so they don't have to build anything. And there are quotes that I can put on screen from people who say that that's the point of this whole thing. Like, the goyim work for us. The goyim work for us. They're the livestock. They're the cattle. According to the Talmud, you can screw people who are goy out of anything from money, which happens all the fucking time. My last boss happened to be from this group of people and shorted me $417 on my last paycheck and fired me for using the company truck. But guess what? I drove my own personal vehicle for over a year with her not paying for a dime of anything when it came to maintenance on that vehicle, for not paying for the new tires that I had to get because I put 60,000 miles on it for that job, and not paying for a drop of gasoline, but fired me for taking my work truck to my mom's house because my other truck needed to get worked on. Taking it on Thanksgiving, on fucking Thanksgiving. I felt obligated to go. I had no other way to get there, and I put gas in. I didn't see any difference. Okay, deduct it from the amount of miles that I drove around in my own personal vehicle on this job. You really gonna fire me over this on Thanksgiving? Like, are you fucking kidding? That's what happened to me. This is my experience with this group of people, and decided to short me my last paycheck, $417. Took a bunch of fucking tools and shit too, stuff that I bought, that I put together. So whatever, you pay some other goy to climb underneath your fucking houses. I don't care. This group of people is extremely selfish. They only interact with or feel obligation to repay loans or to honor contracts with their own people. Is in their religious text. They don't have to fucking do anything by the law when it comes to the goy. It's just the matter of fact. As a matter of fact, yeah, it's okay to grape goy toddlers. That's fine, according to the Talmud, according to the Sanhedrin. I mean, I don't even know if I'm going to put up screenshots. I know it's all true. I have all the data. I have fucking like 4 file folders. Hell, I have one about anti-Semitism in Japan. Like 400 documents in that folder. So yeah, it's a big problem. It's a big problem, Tyler, and it's not looking good for anybody except for no, this is not looking good for white people. That's it. All the other groups of people around the globe are benefiting from these actions. But our little minority group can't have a country all to ourselves. That's racist. That's horrible. Even though, China, Japan, India, like these are countries that are all ethnically homogenous. All of Africa is ethnically homogenous. But we can't have any countries. The 5 Eyes, the 5 English countries, nah, they definitely have to be diverse as fuck. And then the BBC starts putting out bullshit like black people were always on the British island. No, they were not, dude. Doctor Who can go back in time, but he cannot visit a black dude in London in 1606. This is not happening. 1666, he can meet someone named Sabbatai Zevi, and that's a whole different story. Look into Sabbatai Zevi. Look into Frankism. If you want a real scoop, look into St. Simon of Trent. If you want a real scoop, look into the poisoning of wells. Like, these people, it's worse than you think it is. All right, I'm out of here.